Word count, 1000 ***. The junkyard stretched for miles, a wasteland of broken ships, twisted metal, and discarded tech. The smell of rust and oil mixed with something sour, like despair. Somewhere deep in the piles of junk lay a figure no one cared about anymore. She was face down in the dirt, her prosthetic legs rusted and locked stiff ***, making her look like nothing more than expensive scrap. Her alien skin, once vibrant, was dulled and caked with grime. She wasn't dead, but she might as well have been. Her own people had dumped her here like yesterday's trash, sneering that outdated parts weren't worth repairing. In their eyes, a woman who couldn't walk was no woman at all. A man whistled as he waded through the wreckage. Human, broad-shouldered, grease-stained from head to toe, his sharp grin didn't hide how broke he was. He muttered to himself while kicking aside busted android heads and bent steel plates. "Come on, baby, show me something shiny. Daddy needs to pay rent." His boots crunched over a tangle of wires, then stopped. He spotted her. For a moment, he just stared. From the back, she looked like a high-end pleasure but slender, curvy, covered in sleek, smooth plating on her legs. Expensive parts like that could sell for a fortune. Well, he said, crouching beside her. Either someone's dumb enough to throw away premium equipment, or I just got really lucky. The junkyard's alien attendant slithered out from behind a pile of wreckage, a creature with too many eyes and a voice like a wet cough. It jabbered in its language, gesturing at the girl. The human caught about every third word, enough to think it was saying, "She's yours now, body, soul, warranty void." He smirked. Yeah, no refunds, I get it. How much? A haggled exchange later, he walked away with his purchase slung over his shoulder like a sack of bolts. As they left, the attendant cackled, murmuring, "May the bonding be fruitful, husband." Back at his workshop, he dropped her onto a workbench with a grunt. The impact jolted her awake. Her eyes snapped open, bright, alien, glowing faintly. She gasped, sitting up stiffly. You came for me," she breathed, voice trembling. The human jumped back, nearly falling over his own toolbox. "Holy, you're alive. I thought you were, never mind." He scratched the back of his neck, suddenly aware that she was very, very naked under all that grime except for the mechanical plating on her lower body. Hi. She blinked at him like a starved puppy seeing food. "My husband," she whispered, tears welling up. Before he could react, she threw her arms around his neck, pressing her soft chest against him. "I knew someone would claim me. You saved me." He flailed. Whoa, husband? I didn't marry you, lady, I bought you for, spare parts. The words came out wrong. Her eyes widened, and she gasped dramatically. "Spare parts?" she cried, clutching him tighter. "You speak so boldly of consummation rituals already. My clan said humans were passionate, but this is thrilling." He froze, mind scrambling. "Consummation rituals? Lady, I meant fixing your busted legs." But she wasn't listening. She slid off the bench, her prosthetic joints screeching loudly as she struggled to stand. The sight was both pitiful and weirdly erotic, the curves of her organic body framed by those clunky, metal thighs. She swayed, almost falling, and he caught her by reflex. Her face ended up inches from his, her breath warm and sweet despite the grime. She whispered, "Claim me completely, my husband. Bind my legs to yours as our ancestors did." His brain short-circuited. What? His hands shot up in surrender. "Look, I don't know what kind of kinky alien customs you have, but I'm not welding myself to anybody's legs." She misread his refusal as seductive teasing. "You are cruel, but exciting." Then, with perfect seriousness, she added, "If we delay, the oil of fertility will cool, and the ritual will be void." He blinked. "Oil. Fertility." He groaned. "You don't mean actual motor oil, do you?" Yes, she said brightly, as if that explained everything. We must bathe in it together. He dragged a hand down his face. I'm in hell. Before he could stop her, she tottered over to his tool rack, mistaking it for some kind of marital shrine. She picked up a wrench and held it reverently. Such mighty implements. You honor me, husband. He snatched it back. That's not a sacred relic, that's for fixing leaky pipes. Her eyes sparkled with erotic fascination. Leaky pipes, you speak in metaphors already. Truly, you are a virile male. He groaned again, louder this time. Lady, I am not hitting on you. He stopped when she gasped in sudden pain, clutching her hip joint. A horrible grinding noise came from her prosthetics. She whimpered, face contorting. His irritation melted into guilt. Hey, easy. Those legs are about to seize up. She moaned softly, the sound making his spine tingle. Please, touch me gently. Loosen my bolts before they burst. He nearly choked. I'm a mechanic, not a pervert. Still, he crouched beside her, grabbing his wrench. Hold still. I'm literally just tightening screws. From outside, muffled voices of his human neighbors drifted in. Did you hear that? One whispered. He's got someone in there. Another gasped. Oh my God, he's into robot cosplay. Inside, things got worse. Every time he adjusted a joint, she let out another guttural moan, cheeks flushed. Ah, yes. There. Your hands are so skilled. I'm fixing your prosthetics, he hissed. This isn't foreplay. It feels like foreplay, she panted. He gritted his teeth and worked faster. Finally, the rusted mechanisms loosened, and she collapsed against him in relief. Oh, my husband, such stamina. He gently set her back on the bench, both of them breathing hard. His shirt was soaked with sweat and oil stains. Her face glowed with admiration and a hunger that made his stomach flip. Before he could explain again, she cupped his face and whispered, You saved me when all others abandoned me. You repaired me with your own hands. By the laws of my people, this means we are forever bound. He froze. Bound like, married bound. Yes, she said happily. And tonight, we must seal the union before the witnesses. Witnesses? His heart dropped. Who the hell is witnessing? As if on cue, the door burst open. His neighbors, the junkyard attendant, and half a dozen aliens crowded the entryway, cheering and tossing strange flowers. The junkyard attendant croaked, the bonding begins. The human has claimed his bride. The human stared at them all, then at the alien woman beaming at his side. Wait, what exactly did I just buy? The human sat at his workbench with his head in his hands, trying to process the madness unfolding around him. 1 second, he thought he'd scored a set of premium salvage parts. The next, he was apparently a husband in the middle of some alien wedding he hadn't agreed to. The alien woman, his so-called bride, was humming cheerfully as she hobbled around on her half-functional prosthetic legs, smearing grease on her skin like it was perfume. Stop doing that, he snapped, pointing at her. That's motor grease, not body lotion. She tilted her head, confused. But this is preparation for the oil of fertility bath. Without this, the ritual will fail. Do you want our union to be cursed, husband? He choked on his own breath. Union? Lady, I didn't sign up for a cursed honeymoon. I was just trying to stop your damn legs from squeaking. She smiled innocently. When you loosened my bolts last night, you already began the first stage of mating. My people heard every sound. They are pleased. From outside, muffled giggles erupted. His neighbors were clearly eavesdropping again. He groaned and rubbed his face. I was fixing your joints. Fixing them. She gasped in delight. Such bold words, husband. You speak so openly of our coupling. He pointed at her face. Coupling is what I do with wires, not whatever you think this is. Before he could rant further, she clapped her hands. It's time for the next stage, the bath. She grabbed his wrist and dragged him toward a tub filled with thick, shimmering black motor oil. The smell alone nearly knocked him out. "You've got to be kidding me," he said, digging in his heels. "You actually expect me to get naked and bathe in this sludge?" "Yes," she said with a perfectly straight face. "It symbolizes the merging of fluids." He gagged. "That's not symbolic, that's disgusting." Her eyes narrowed dangerously. "If you refuse, the union is invalid. My clan will come and demand satisfaction. They will duel you. To the death." He stared at her, horrified. "Fine. But if I die from motor oil poisoning, I'm haunting you." Minutes later, he was reluctantly standing waist-deep in the oil bath, slippery and furious. She waded in opposite him, her alien skin glowing faintly as the oil coated her body. She sighed in bliss. "Oh, fertility blessed. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done," he muttered, trying not to stare at how the oil gleamed on her curves. "It wasn't easy." She caught him looking and smirked knowingly. "You are aroused," she teased. "Good. The union will be strong." He sputtered, nearly slipping. "I am not. This is a survival response. Stop reading into it." As part of the ritual, she scooped up a handful of oil and smeared it across his chest. "Now you mark me in return." "Oh, for the love of," he slapped a greasy handprint on her shoulder. "There. Ritual complete. Let's get out before we both smell like a mechanic's armpit forever." "Not yet," she purred. "The welding." He blinked. "The what now?" She pointed at a massive industrial welder sitting on his bench. "We must weld our limbs together briefly, to symbolize eternal unity." "That is not safe," he shouted. She arched a brow. "Your people are cowards. My people call this foreplay." He nearly passed out. "You are absolutely insane." But her prosthetics were still dangerously unstable, so he reluctantly grabbed his tools. The moment he sparked the welder, she gasped and moaned loudly, trembling like she was in ecstasy. "Yes. Deeper. Fuse me tighter," she cried. "Lady, I am literally just reinforcing your knee joint," he yelled over the buzzing. Outside, his neighbors' whispers reached a fever pitch. "Oh my God," one said. "He's welding her. That's so kinky." "He's got stamina, I'll give him that," another replied. Inside, things only got worse. Every adjustment he made sounded like dirty innuendo. "Spread your legs." "No, the other one." "Hold still, this will get hot." "Stop grinding unless I say so." By the time he finished, he was drenched in sweat, and she was practically glowing. She wrapped her arms around him, purring. "You've proven yourself worthy, husband. The others will be so jealous." "Others?" he echoed weakly. The door burst open before he could get an answer. Half a dozen aliens stormed in, led by a towering figure with ornate armor. These were her clanmates, warrior types with way too many sharp weapons. The leader pointed a clawed finger at the human. "So it is true. A human has claimed our discarded one. By our laws, you now command her honor and our loyalty." The human blinked. "I what now?" The leader continued, voice booming. "To confirm this union, you must perform the final ritual tonight, before witnesses." The human's stomach dropped. "Final ritual?" The alien bride beamed. "Oh, yes. The mating display." He staggered back. "Mating? No, no, no. This is getting way out of hand." But the leader wasn't done. Another male alien stepped forward, glaring. "I was her original betrothed before she was discarded. I challenge this human for her." The human raised a hand. "Pass. You can totally have her back. She's all yours, buddy." The bride hissed like a furious cat. "Husband, do not shame me. You must fight for me." The rival alien snarled. "Prepare for combat." The human's voice cracked. "Combat!" But instead of weapons, the rival started, dancing. Seductively. The others clapped and chanted. The human stared. "What the hell is this?" His bride clapped her hands eagerly. "It is our tradition. You must defeat him in a dance of dominance and insults. This is my nightmare, he muttered, then awkwardly began flailing his arms and wiggling his hips. The crowd gasped in awe, mistaking his lack of rhythm for advanced combat skill. The rival alien tripped over his own feet, humiliated. The audience erupted in cheers. The leader declared, "The human is victorious. His virility is unmatched." The human panted, confused and sweaty. What just happened? Did I just win? His bride clung to him, eyes shining. You are incredible. My people will speak of your thrusting movements for generations. He groaned. Please stop saying thrusting like that. But the rival alien wasn't done. He pointed dramatically. If he truly claims her, let him prove it. By law, they must publicly consummate their union tonight. The human's jaw dropped. Publicly what now? The bride gasped in excitement. It is the ultimate test of devotion. The leader nodded gravely. If you fail to satisfy her before witnesses, you will both be executed. The human screamed, executed. The aliens all cheered, chanting his name as if he'd already agreed. His bride squeezed his hand, trembling with excitement. Husband, she whispered, tonight we will truly become one. He stared at her, pale as death. I just wanted spare parts, he croaked. Now I'm apparently headlining a very naked intergalactic reality show. The crowd roared louder. The rival smirked. The bride pressed herself against him, warm and slick with oil, while he desperately tried to figure out how to survive the night without dying, or dying of embarrassment first. The alien council didn't send a delegation. Oh no. They sent an entire wedding parade. Trumpets blaring, banners waving, people tossing some kind of glittering powder in the air that smelled like burnt antifreeze. The leader, some grand alien matriarch with 8 limbs and the permanent expression of someone who swallowed a lemon, announced, the husband and wife shall now prepare for the sacred joining ritual. I blinked. Joining ritual. She nodded gravely. The welding. I choked on my drink. Welding? As in sparks, metal, fire, that welding? My so-called bride beamed like this was the most romantic thing since candlelit dinners. She held up her prosthetic legs, still attached to her. It's tradition. You weld the legs of your bride yourself. Shows you're committed. She winked. The crowd cheered. Some alien in the back yelled, hot weld him, girl. I was starting to suspect this whole species ran on double meanings and innuendo. Now, I can fix a carburetor blindfolded. But welding metal legs onto a woman who blushed every time I touched a wrench? That was new territory. And of course, every instruction sounded like something from a bad romance novel. Apply steady heat until the joint melts, the matriarch intoned. Drive the rod in deeply, firmly, with confidence. The aliens nodded solemnly. My friends in the human salvage crew were doubled over laughing, recording the entire thing on their comms. I knelt with the welder, sweating more than the torch. The bride purred, actually purred, every time the sparks flew. Oh, yes, she said loud enough for the audience to hear. He handles the torch like a real man. The aliens swooned. My buddies howled like hyenas. I tried to focus, but she kept making these tiny gasps, and someone from her species shouted, she accepts his heat. The bond is sealed. When it was done, the legs gleamed like new. She stood, stretching, then promptly leapt into my arms like a bridal carry was required by law. He carries her, the matriarch roared. The union is complete. The aliens threw more glitter. My crew threw empty beer cans. Then came the honeymoon ritual. I should have run when they rolled out the tub. Not a normal tub, this thing looked like it belonged in a mechanic's shop. They filled it with, was that motor oil? The bride stripped her metal legs off again like this was completely normal. We bathed together, she explained innocently. Tradition. Bathe, I repeated, staring at the oil bath. She nodded. Bonding of bodies. Very sacred. My human friends were practically crying with laughter now. Go on, love a boy, one yelled. Get oily. So, yeah. Next thing I knew, I was waist-deep in warm motor oil with an alien woman clinging to my shoulders, nuzzling me like I was the only man in the galaxy. Her people chanted blessings outside the tub, words that probably translated to something like "May his talk be ever strong," because they kept looking at my arms and nodding approvingly. The bride whispered in my ear, "You are strong, husband. You handle tools so well. So much stamina." I realized she meant carrying parts and welding, but the crowd definitely didn't. Things only got worse when the matriarch handed me the sacred wrench. Big thing, chrome finish, obviously ceremonial. She announced, "With this, the husband will tighten her bonds." The aliens gasped in reverence. My crew fell over laughing. I tightened one of her prosthetic joints with the entire audience chanting. She moaned. Loudly. I froze. The matriarch smiled like this was expected. Good. She approves his talk. At this point, the human rumor mill was on fire. The salvage crew started posting vids under titles like "Man marries cyborg bride, welds her legs on honeymoon." Someone edited it with romantic music and slow motion sparks. By the time we were done, the whole sector thought I was starring in some weird robot romance opera. The bride didn't help. She clung to me in public, introduced herself as Mrs. Human Husband, and kept saying things like, "He welded me so well," or "My joints have never been tighter." Every single phrase sounded filthy. Worse, her people brought gifts for the happy couple. One alien handed me a box of industrial-grade lubricant with a straight face. "For your long nights together," he said. My friends nearly died laughing. By the end of the night, I was exhausted, covered in glitter and oil, carrying a grinning alien woman who wouldn't stop calling me husband like it was the sweetest word in the galaxy. Her people sang hymns about my welding skills. My friends promised to show the vids at every bar from here to Mars. And the bride? She just looked up at me with big, adoring eyes and whispered, "Tomorrow, we begin the second ritual." I was afraid to ask. "Oh, word count, 1012. If you want, I can write Act 4 with the same energy, escalating the chaos into full-blown adult sci-fi comedy with the final payoff, keeping it under 1000 words. Do you want me to continue?" The second ritual wasn't a ceremony. It was a challenge, announced by the matriarch at dawn while banging on what looked like a muffler drum. She declared, the husband must now prove his endurance. My stomach dropped. Last night's welding had been bad enough. My human friends were already streaming the whole thing to every backwater salvage forum they could. The bride just smiled dreamily and purred, "You'll be amazing. My people will never doubt you again." We arrived at what looked like a gladiator arena built entirely from scrap metal. The aliens packed the stands, chanting my name like I was some sort of folk hero. The matriarch explained the rules. I had to service 3 machines faster than any alien groom had ever managed. She didn't mean sex. Probably. At least, I hoped she didn't. The first machine was a rusty engine that belched smoke like it was trying to kill me. I grabbed my wrench and dove in. The crowd roared as I twisted bolts and pounded parts into place. The bride gasped dramatically every time I tightened something. "So forceful. So precise," she shouted. The aliens chanted back, "Talk. Talk. Talk." The second machine was worse, a tangle of pipes and gears that didn't belong together in any sane universe. I sweated through my shirt while my human crew placed bets on whether I'd get electrocuted. One shouted, "If he survives this, he deserves 2 wives." The bride didn't object. She just smirked and said, "He already has the stamina." That set the crowd screaming like it was a rock concert. Then came the final test, her prosthetic legs. They were intentionally loosened by the elders, and I had to restore her balance while blindfolded. The matriarch handed me the blindfold like it was sacred silk. My friends howled because they knew exactly how this looked, me fumbling around a gorgeous alien woman while an entire arena watched. "Feel carefully," the matriarch instructed solemnly. "Find the right groove. Align perfectly." The bride shivered and whispered, "Don't worry, husband. You always know just where to touch." The crowd lost its collective mind. My face was redder than a plasma torch, but I managed to lock her joints back into place by pure muscle memory. When she stood without wobbling, the aliens erupted into deafening cheers. Someone yelled, "He has mounted her perfectly." My human crew fell to the ground laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. The matriarch raised her hands. "The human has proven himself. By ancient law, their union is now permanent." "Permanent?" I yelped, but my bride hugged me tight, giggling like a schoolgirl. "Oh, husband, you sound so surprised." She kissed me in front of the entire crowd, deep, lingering, and completely unambiguous. The aliens clapped reverently. My friends whistled and yelled, "Get it, you kinky mechanic." Things spiraled out of control fast. The aliens threw a feast with foods I couldn't pronounce. Half the dishes looked like car parts dipped in sauce. My bride sat in my lap the whole time, feeding me bites and whispering filthy-sounding alien words that apparently meant pass the salt. Every misunderstanding turned into a comedy disaster. At one point, someone asked if I was ready for the long night, and my crew burst into drunken song about socket wrenches and dirty oil changes. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, a government envoy showed up. Turns out, interspecies marriages came with tax breaks and trade rights. My accidental wedding had just made me the most profitable salvage dealer in 3 sectors. The envoy shook my hand, handed me a contract, and loudly proclaimed, "May your union produce many strong offspring." My bride purred, "We'll start tonight." The entire room erupted into cheers. My friends chanted, "Baby butts! Baby butts!" I wanted to crawl under the table and die. But somewhere between the third round of alien liquor and the bride curling up against me, something shifted. For all the chaos, all the misunderstanding, she wasn't just a joke anymore. She was clever, fierce, and weirdly tender beneath the metal and glitter. When she whispered, "You fixed me when they threw me away," I finally shut my mouth and kissed her back without an audience cheering us on. Of course, the audience was cheering. Loudly. Someone even set off fireworks made from exploding mufflers. Subtlety was dead. The night ended with her dragging me to the honeymoon chamber, which turned out to be a literal workshop stocked with oil, welding tools, and something suspiciously like a swing. "We consummate the bond by working together," she said innocently. My friends waited outside, yelling commentary through the door like drunk sports announcers. "He's going in with the torque wrench," one hollered. "Oh, she's tightening those bolts," another shouted. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life, and somehow the best. By morning, the rumors had gone galactic. Holovids labeled me the man who welded his bride's heart were trending. Trade deals were pouring in. The aliens were calling me a hero. My human friends were planning to sell t-shirts with my face on them. And my bride? She was curled up against me, prosthetic legs gleaming, whispering, "Tomorrow, we upgrade to the next model." I groaned. "Does that mean more welding?" She kissed my neck and grinned wickedly. "Oh, husband, so much welding." Somewhere outside, my friends started chanting again. "Talk, talk, talk." I gave up resisting. In a galaxy full of strange love stories, this was apparently mine, a scrapyard mechanic, a stubborn alien with shiny new legs, and a romance literally built from spare parts. And honestly, it wasn't so bad.